Greetings to you all. I welcome you to the Class 8 English, Unit 3, Supplementary. And today we are going to see an interesting story. 3 questions, the topic of the story, written by Leo Tolstoy. Before seeing the story, let us know about the author. Leo Tolstoy was born in 1828 and died in 1910. Tolstoy was a Russian novelist who was regarded as one of the greatest of all time. He is known as a great realistic writer of world literature. His famous works are War and Peace, Anna Karenina, A Confession, and Resurrection. Okay, let me narrate the story. Once there was a king who wanted to know the answers to 3 important questions which were bustling him. He thought that he would never fail in anything he might undertake if he knew the answers to those questions. His 3 questions were: what is the most important time to do anything? The second question is: who is the most important person to refer to? The third question is: what is the most important job to do? So these 3 questions were puzzling the king, who wanted to know the answers of these 3 questions. So the king sent messengers throughout his kingdom. He promised to give a reward of a large sum to the person who answered his 3 questions properly. So he was almost ready to give a large sum, which means huge amount or reward, to the person who was ready to give proper answer for those 3 questions. Many wise men tried their luck. They gave a number of answers. One said that the king should go by a timetable, which means the king should maintain timetable day-wise, month-wise, year-wise, so that he can do anything at right time. Another said that the king should do whatever seemed him necessary at the moment. The third suggested that the king should consult wise men or magicians. Answering the second question, they gave top importance to his counselors, or to priests, or to doctors, or to soldiers. In reply to the third question, the wise men gave importance to science or fighting or religious worship. But the king was not satisfied. At the moment, he heard about the hermit. So, he wanted to meet the hermit. The king went to a hermit in the jungle alone. So the king himself disguised in order to meet the hermit in the jungle. There he saw the old and weak hermit digging the ground. The king asked his questions, but the old hermit didn't reply anything to the questions of the king. Then he took the spade from the hermit and began to work in his place in order to help the old hermit. Several hours passed, Nothing replied from the old hermit. So it was evening, so the king stopped digging the beds. The king was ready to take leave from the hermit as he didn't get anything from him. So almost he was about disappointed. So he was about to leave the place. Just then, the hermit told the king that someone was running towards them. The king saw a bearded man running towards them. His hands were pressed against his stomach, from which blood was oozing. As he reached the king, he fainted and fell to the ground. He had a large wound in his stomach. The king washed the wound and compressed it with his handkerchief. At last, the bleeding stopped. The man felt better and asked for water to drink. The king gave him fresh water. At this time, the sun had set by then. The king and the hermit carried the wounded man into the hut and laid him on the bed. The tired king also fell asleep. When he awoke, the bearded man asked to forgive him. The man was, in fact, the king's enemy. He had followed the king to take revenge on him. He had vowed to kill him. He already taken assurance to kill the king. So he followed the king from the jungle. But the king had once put his brother to death. The man had himself in a bush on the way to the jungle. He came out of his hiding place when the king did not return for long. He got wounded by king's bodyguards. So that's what the reason he got wounded at his stomach. So he confessed everything to the king. He would have died if the king had not dressed his wound. Unless the king helped him, the stranger who came from the jungle might have been died. He felt grateful to the king who had saved his life. He promised to serve the king as a faithful servant. Finally, the king was happy that he had made the peace with his enemy. He forgave the man and promised to give back his property. The king then went up to the hermit. He again asked for answers to 3 questions. So his curiosity forced him to get answer from the hermit of those 3 questions. The hermit explained that by digging the beds for him, the king had escaped attack. So the most important time was when he was digging the beds. The hermit himself was the most important person. So it is the answer for the second question. So to do him good was the king's most important business. The hermit further told the king that the most important person for him was the person with him at a particular moment. And the most important business was to help that person. And the most important time was now. That is the present moment. However, finally, the king got proper answers for those complicated questions. So, to do right thing, the king gained something from the hermit. So, from the hermit, the king understood one thing, that we should do thing at the right time and the right moment. And the most important person is who needs help, they should be helped. So we should help the person who needs help in time. And the last answer of the question is, it is the most important time in our life, it is now. So the present moment is the right time to do anything. So do the right thing, do the good thing at the right moment, at the right time, and don't consider the person. If the person needs help, without hesitation, we should help the person. So finally, the king got proper answer from the hermit. So thank you for watching the video. I will meet you with a new topic in the next session. Thank you.